Before we do, though, we are going to talk about who will be the next President of the United States with Gerald Celente, the publisher of TrendsJournal Online, who regularly gives us his no punches pulled assessment of what's going on over there in the States. What did you think of Billy Bragg suggesting that they cast the moneylenders out of the temple, Gerald Celente?
Well, did you see the cover of our summer Trends Journal where we have Jesus Christ on the cover?
Yeah, well, did you know about Woody Guthrie, did you?
No, I didn't. I didn't know that song. It's great. And, of course, we just updated it. The money changers now have names. The Goldman Sachs, Dexia, Bank of Scotland, on and on. And it's really interesting, Ian, when you think about this. This is as old as the Testament. The bankers have been robbing the people from the times of Jesus Christ. And when you think about it, this is the only time the Prince of Peace becomes violent.
Yes.
I mean, really, think about that. The Prince of Peace picks up a whip to drive the money changers out of the temple, and it's no different today. People talk about the New World Order. The New World Order is the banking order.
Well, this is something that clearly is going to be under scrutiny, whoever becomes the next President of the United States. But at the moment, we've got Mitt Romney doing quite well, and I think some people were surprised by how well he did in the first debate. The second debate seems to have gone Barack Obama's way. How do you read these debates, and how important will they be in deciding the presidency?
Well, on the first issue that you said about, this being an issue, the banking issue, whoever becomes president, I would respectfully disagree, because under Obama, and we have to realize that he controlled both houses at one time, there has not been one major head of any banks that have rolled. There's been no major prosecutions, nobody. Only the little guys get hit. So, and Romney, it's going to be more of the same. So as for the debates, this is the presidential reality show. They say that politics is show business for ugly people. All you do is have to tune in, and that's all this is. I don't know of any American that I know that could feel proud after having watched these last two debates. They're so juvenile. It's like watching a high school debate. And the routine is always the same. They're asked a question, they repeat the question, and after they repeat the question, they go into and then they go into their campaign stump speech that I've been hearing now for over a year. There's not one fresh thought. You look at today's news. I don't care where it is. Build, I don't care. You name the country, Germany, the UK. Look at all over the world. This is how they're rating this as though it was a pugilist fight. Obama came out swinging. One metaphor after another about a fight. Has anybody said how brilliant any of these men are? Has anybody said what visionaries they are? Has anybody said about their courage or about their word, about how wonderful they are in keeping their words and following their deeds, or what wonderful policies they have? Have you heard the word integrity associated with either of them? No. The only thing they're talking about is performance. Who performed best on the presidential reality show? So now it's Romney won, Obama won. And the next debate is going to be very very important in deciding who becomes president.
I'm talking to Gerald Celente, publisher of the TrendsJournal Online. Regularly gives us a take on what's happening in America. It's only a matter of weeks before this is decided. But on that issue of governments pumping money into things such as the auto industry, which came up in the debate, and the government pumping money into the banking industry. If America is engaged in wars around the world that are costing trillions of dollars, what will the next presidency be like, whoever's in charge? Can they continue to pump money into either wars or into bankrupt organisations?
Listen to them. And that's what I'm saying. The debate last night, here's what they talked about. They talked about gun control. They talked about contraception. They talked about immigrants. They talked about issues that have nothing to do with the tens of millions of Americans who have no jobs. The tens of millions of Americans who have lost their homes or are losing them. Do you know if you can't pay your property taxes or your sales taxes, I don't know how it is over there, down under, but you get thrown out of your house. You're in your 60s, 70s, or 80s. You lost your job. You cannot pay the taxes. You're gone. They're not talking about the kids graduating college that are going to be indentured servants for the rest of their lives with on average of about $30,000 getting out of college with debt, and 50% of the jobs that they're getting don't barely require a high school degree. None of that was talked about. So now on the issue of defense. Each one's talking about who's going to get tougher. I mean, Obama slipped in, the Obama got Osama line twice, and how we have to get tougher. And Mittens Romney, who, by the way, is my age, he dodged the Vietnam draft, I love it, by being a missionary in France. Oh, yeah, a Mormon missionary in cigarette-smoking, caffeine-addicted, wine-loving, Brigitte Bardot-enamored France in the 60s. I wonder why he did get punched out when he was there, talking about more war.
Yeah.
So they're talking about doing the opposite of what's needed.
Well, look, on that point, I think a lot of people are watching what is happening in terms of Israel and its war talk towards Iran. What would happen if there was a move made in that area? And do you think that's likely to happen? Because if the Americans pull out of Afghanistan, does that mean that there's another war on the horizon?
Well, look at the other wars that are heating up between Japan and China that the United States is instigating. And listen to the rhetoric coming out of your country as well on different issues relative to war. The war hawks is screeching. And by the way, all these war hawks, the Romneys, the Hollands, the Sarkozy before him, Cameron, Obama, all of these guys, they've never worn a uniform or fought a day in their lives. And they're starting new wars. So the things America has to do to regain its strength, they're doing the opposite. Listen to what they said. They're talking about opening up more trade agreements with poorer countries in South America so they could send their products down there to more slave labor countries, take the little bit of manufacturing that's left here out of here, making the product there cheaper and bringing it back. If you listen to Obama and Romney, there's a dime's worth of difference. It's only performance. You listen to Romney carry on. I love this one. We need more coal, and they're arguing over who's going to be there to produce more clean coal. Clean coal is like saying almost pregnant.
Okay.
They're talking about fracking more. They're talking about drilling more into pristine Arctic land. Both of them are arguing about how much more public land they're going to give to the frackers. So there's no difference between them.
All right. We're talking to Gerald Celente, his take on the US presidential campaign, the US presidential debates. Yvonne from Maylands has called in here on the morning program. It's almost 9:15 with me, Ian Henschke. If you'd like to join the discussion, 1300 222 891. Yvonne.
Oh, good morning. I've listened to Gerald on several occasions, and his tone is always unmitigated contempt for the whole political system in America and all the major political players, which I find unfortunate. I mean, I would have thought that immigration was the key issue of debate in America, given there's tens of millions of illegal immigrants in the USA from Mexico and other Latino countries now competing with low-paid Americans for jobs. So that's a really big issue in America. And for Gerald to dismiss some of these issues as totally irrelevant, I think is wrong.
So you're saying the big issue, as far as you see it, is the issue of the immigrants in America?
It's not the only big issue, but it is an issue in America.
All right.
And for him to say it doesn't affect the lives of many Americans is ridiculous.
All right. Well, your response, Gerald?
First of all, you're right. First of all, Yvonne, you're right. I have total contempt for the political system. I'm a political atheist. I was the assistant to the Secretary of the New York State Senate, and I spent many years in Washington, D.C. To me, it's the Gambinos and the Bananos. nothing that either party does no good comes from it. So I'm not voting in this election.
Okay,
on the issue of immigrants.
Because on that point, Gerald, we've already had someone say if your guest had to pick a side, Obama or Romney, which one would he choose and why? And you must have at least some...
No, I'm not voting.
Not voting, but
I will not vote for a lesser of two evils.
Okay.
I don't go out with them. I don't do business with them. I don't associate with them. And whether it's lesser of an evil, evil is evil, and I expect no good from it. So
okay.
That's the way
let's look at that issue of the issue of immigration that Yvonne's raised.
It's a big issue. It is a big issue. But what I'm saying is that issue got more time. There was no time on the wars. There's no time for how they're going to fix the economy other than blah, blah, blah about tax cuts. So, no, immigration is an issue, but also I know the deal, and Obama's given the illegal immigrants a free ride because he has to get the Hispanic vote. And so that's all it comes down to. And then none of these guys are going to take a tough stand on immigration at a campaign time because they don't want to lose votes. So what I said was it is not the key issue that's facing this country. And I know what the key issues are in this country from dealing with the people in the country. And the issue of jobs. People are losing everything. Out in front of my building when they put out the bottles of my whole avenue over here on Tuesdays, all of a sudden, as soon as it gets dark, people are scavenging the garbage, looking for food through deposit bottles. The country is in a rapid decline, and we are suffering a leadership vacuum. Those are the best two people that we have.
Gerald Celente, one of the things that came out in this debate is the issue of unemployment. Now, someone said, I think one of the commentators said, that these are the worst unemployment figures in the United States since 1949. Is that correct? The worst.
We are in the worst recession since the Great Depression. Here's some facts: the wealth gap in the United States, it equals that of Uganda and Kazakhstan. The gap between the rich and the poor in the United States is the widest of any of the OECD countries. 30% of all the jobs that have been created don't even pay a living wage. 53% of the jobs that were just created are in waiters, waitresses, bartenders, home health aides, and ambulance workers that don't pay anything. 750,000 full-time jobs have been lost since March. This country is on a downward, devastating spiral. And again, those are the best choices that we have. Okay. A stuffed shirt and an empty suit.
Okay, well, let's go to some of our callers now. We're talking to Gerald Celente, the publisher of the TrendsJournal Online. We've got Jenny from Morven. I think she's there, or she's lost Jenny there. Brenda is an expat Canadian. Good morning, Brenda.
Good morning. How are you?
Very well. Your question for Gerald?
Yes. First of all, I just want to say, Gerald, I love you, and I love your idealism, and I love your whole position on this. Being a Canadian from British Columbia, where our natural resources are our number one aspect of being, from beautiful British Columbia, they call it. And Mitt Romney mentioned in his speech yesterday how he's going to bring that pipeline down from Canada and destroy all of our natural resources. And I just want to say kudos to you for bringing this to attention on the whole NW New World Order and everything. And I'm just take my hat off to you because more people need to speak out like you do.
All right. Thanks, Brenda. Another comment here on a text line. Every time Gerald is on, he's a breath of fresh air. On that issue, Gerald, the global warming debate, what about that big one, says Pete? Where do the two candidates stand on that?
Again, listen to their words. And by the way, I just got back from B.C. on Vancouver on Tuesday. I was there for 4 days. And they had 82 days of drought conditions.
In Vancouver?
82 days it did not rain because I got there and it rained for 4 days. So that's why I knew it as a fact. And so, yes, there's climate change. Yes, there's global warming. Is there proof? Here's the way I look at it, Ian. You want to pump 15 trillions and trillions of tons of toxins into the air, into the earth, and into the water, and not think it's going to have an effect, or poisons into your body? So yeah, there's changes going on. So now, where do the men stand on this issue? Listen to the debate. Oh, they were outdoing each other on opening up more public lands for fracking. They were Obama called Romney out because Romney opposed a coal plant up near in Massachusetts when he was governor. And they're both talking about the pipeline. Obama only put it on hold as a stalling mechanism before the election so he could try to win over his base.
So this is a pipeline to bring more gas into America?
No, to bring in the tar, to develop the tar sands up in Alberta. Of course, they don't call them tar sands anymore. They've come out with a more politically correct word. So now they're going through all of this pristine area, putting in pipelines and raping the land. And a lot of people don't want it, but they always come under the guise, it's going to create jobs and we're going to be energy self-sufficient so we don't have to rely on them Iranians, I tell you.
Okay. All right, look, Damien from Hallett Cove has called in here on the morning program, 9:21, with Ian Henschke and Gerald Celente, publisher of the TrendsJournal online. We're discussing the American elections, which will be decided by this time next month. Damien.
Good morning, guys. Listen, I'm going to call you out there, Gerald. First of all, you said it's all about jobs, and then you're saying that you can't have the pipeline because they're using jobs as a justification, number one. Number two, China, which has a communist government, is all about jobs. And number three, if everybody takes the attitude that you have, which is I'm not voting, I'm not participating, I'm staying out of it, is there any surprise that you have a government that you consider to be led and controlled by the mob? I mean, you either participate and stay part of the process and help get it back on track, or you get what you deserve, which is the government that you deserve, which is you not participating.
Gerald?
If I vote for one of them, then I get what I deserve, either one. I'm not going to do that. And I'm not going to participate in a mob. I don't do lesser of two evils. It's not my trip. So all it is doing is perpetuating the same system. I used to vote. This is the first year I'm not, because I used to vote for different candidates that were not of the major party, and they don't go anywhere. So that's an excuse they give you. Well, if you don't vote, then you get what you deserve. No, if you do vote, you get what you deserve. You're either going to get Obama or Romney, and I know what the result is going to be.
Well, Gerald,
more of the same.
Gerald, on that point, though, one of the things that was raised last night in a documentary I saw about Barack Obama, they said, well, the one thing he has done, which is actually something that a lot of Americans say is very important, is that he's given some form of universal health care to Americans. Now, could you at least say that if you'd voted for him last time, you may have improved the lot of ordinary people in that manner?
Because the healthcare program stinks. What we're being forced to do is this is fascism. We have to buy our healthcare plans from private companies.
Okay.
And the private companies are in on the deal. I'm all for socialized medicine. This isn't it.
This isn't it. Okay. Well, look, we'll talk to you again, no doubt, before the big day. And even though you won't be voting, we'll be interested to take your take on it. Thank you very much again, Gerald Celente.
Hey, thank you, Ian.
Publisher of the TrendsJournal online.